This is USVI News, your Virgin Islands connection.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for USVI News. I'm Emily Matson. Virgin Islands Governor Albert Bryan Jr. issued a proclamation observing the federal Juneteenth holiday this Monday, June 20th, in the USVI. Because the Juneteenth federal holiday fell on Sunday, June 19th, Governor Bryan Jr. issued a proclamation designated Monday as a day of observation for the holiday and has granted administrative leave to all non-essential government employees. He said the Virgin Islands is joining the nation in pridefully celebrating this national holiday. So on Monday, June 20th, all non-essential government agencies and offices are closed. And the celebration of our newest national holiday are taking place all across the country. And one of the most important pieces of Juneteenth history is now on display in Dallas, Texas. Take a look. This is the original copy of the Juneteenth General Order Number 3 document on display to the public now through the end of July. So a little history here. On June 19, 1865, this document was read when Union soldiers landed in Galveston, Texas, officially pronouncing all enslaved African Americans living in Texas as free. That moment actually came 2.5 years after President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation freed slaves, enslaved people across the entire country. But the news had never made it to Texas because of the resistance there at the time. And this is the only known original copy of the order.
So I've been on the board for 6 years now for the Dallas Historical Society, and of all the wonderful pieces that we have, the Juneteenth document is just a personal thing that's really personal, affects me because I've celebrated Juneteenth my whole life. My family was really big into celebrating, and to know that the only known original copy of the document is here in Dallas is always a big deal to me.
And that document has always been a part of the Dallas Historical Society's permanent archives, but its display during the first federally recognized Juneteenth makes it a perfect way to commemorate the holiday. And from the Virgin Islands to Texas to Buffalo, New York, celebrations commemorated Juneteenth over the weekend and on this Monday. Reporter Shaq Brewster has more on the significance of the celebration from Chicago.
From a parade in Buffalo to a symbolic walk in Texas and a festival in Chicago, Americans gathering on the nation's newest federal holiday, Juneteenth.
It took so long for people to actually acknowledge this as a federal holiday. This is only the second year.
The day commemorates June 19, 1865, when the last enslaved African Americans in Galveston, Texas, were finally told they were free, more than 2 years after President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation.
I'm very happy this is a federal holiday because, to be honest, I really didn't know anything about it, you know what I mean? And so I'm still learning, about my particular culture.
But some corporations and organizations have been criticized for commercializing the day, like selling a Juneteenth watermelon salad or a Juneteenth ice cream flavor. Experts say companies are struggling to strike the right balance.
I think if more companies had more people in decision-making positions who could help inform those conversations, they would think of more nuanced and I would just say better ways of recognizing the holiday.
Meanwhile, awareness and appreciation of Juneteenth continues to grow. A Gallup poll showing a significant jump in the numbers of Americans who say they have a lot or some familiarity with the holiday, which many hope will not only be a time to celebrate, but also an opportunity to ignite a more honest dialogue about race in America.
I mean, we need to have those conversations. It's uncomfortable. It's true. It's uncomfortable. Slavery was uncomfortable. We need to talk about it.
Certainly great celebrations all across the nation to celebrate and commemorate such an important holiday. It took extra significance in Buffalo as they also paid homage and took moments of silence for what was a racially motivated mass shooting in Buffalo, New York. They took time to honor those people who were killed in that incident last month in Buffalo. A man is arrested on St. Thomas for a violent assault last month. VIPD investigators say 38-year-old Kenneth Wigfall Jr. assaulted a man back on May 19th in the Anna's Retreat area. Police say Wigfall hit another man on the head with a sledgehammer, causing serious injuries. Officers arrested him last week at the Alexander Forelli Justice Complex. Wigfall is facing several charges, including assault and reckless endangerment. He's in jail under a $75,000 bond. So travelers are facing more misery today, with airlines canceling thousands of flights over the weekend. FlightAware reported more than 900 canceled flights Sunday, nearly 860 on Saturday, and more than 1,400 cancellations on Friday. Cancellations are being blamed on rough weather and staff shortages. Officers with the TSA said they screened more than 2,400,000 people nationwide Friday. That's the highest checkpoint volume since the Sunday after Thanksgiving. The increase in delays and cancellations comes just days after Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg met with airline CEOs in order to discuss ways to improve performance and operations ahead of another expected surge in travel over the 4th of July holiday. More now on a story we first brought you last week about the U.S. Senate overwhelmingly approving a bill aimed at helping millions of war veterans exposed to overseas burn pits. The legislation would establish a link between certain illnesses and exposure to toxic chemicals from burn pits and war zones. Our USVI News' Haley Potter spoke with some veterans experiencing some of these health conditions.
On Thursday, the U.S. Senate took a step forward to help veterans exposed to burn pits and other toxic hazards while stationed overseas.
The yeas are 84, the nays are 14.
Welcome news for advocates and veterans who experience respiratory illnesses and cancers linked to toxic fumes.
Really, you can't really find the words for it because this is like, it's about time.
Andrea Knightsling served from 2000 to 2010. She suffers constrictive bronchiolitis and pulmonary fibrosis, two life-shortening, slow-progressing illnesses. It took nearly 10 years of suffering before her local VA would even approve a lung biopsy. And with tears in her eyes, she tells me that now veterans like herself won't have to fight to prove that burn pits and other toxins in war zones caused their illnesses.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The burn pits made it this way.
The new legislation will make it easier for veterans to claim benefits and treatments for 23 diseases and rare cancers related to toxic exposure.
This is legal to burn here in the States. They're burning over there because, hey, we can do whatever we want. We're not in the U.S. We're not governed by the EPA.
Everything was on fire. Plus, things get blown up. They get left on fire. No fire department in the entire country.
Jeremy Daniels suffers from MS and has chemical burns and spinal cord edema. He and Knightsling both have spent time in Washington working for this day to come. President Biden has talked about his own son's lost battle with brain cancer after serving near burn pits and is expected to sign the bill as soon as it hits his desk. Haley Potter, USVI News.
And it is estimated the bill could help around 3.5 million veterans exposed to toxic fumes. The first COVID-19 vaccines for the nation's youngest children are on their way to doctors' offices across the nation and in the Virgin Islands. More than 2 years into the pandemic, children as young as 6 months old are now eligible to get vaccinated against COVID-19. On Saturday, the CDC gave final approval for both Pfizer and Moderna vaccines for young children ages 6 months to 5 years of age. The White House COVID-19 response coordinator says parents can expect these shots to roll out immediately.
We're going to see the first shots going in tomorrow, Wednesday, over the next few days, and then it's going to ramp up in the days and weeks ahead. And these vaccines are exceedingly safe, and that's the biggest message, that these vaccines have been given to millions and millions of kids. Very, very safe. What I would say to parents is, talk to your family physician, talk to your pediatrician, talk to the people who take care of your kids and get their advice. And that's probably the best way to move forward.
School is out for summer, and for many kids, that is meaning way too much screen time. Summer and screen time tend to go hand in hand, but experts say there are ways to do a digital detox. Here's some advice on how to easily reduce screen time.
From TV to video games, kids are spending a lot of time in front of screens.
The newest studies are showing that the average child age 8 to 18 is spending 7.5 hours a day participating in screen time that is entertainment based.
Too much screen time can take away time for physical activity. It can also disconnect kids from others. Wendy Palmer with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta's Strong for Life program suggests doing a family-wide digital detox.
One of the first steps is to take an honest assessment of what are your family's screen time habits.
Once you figure out how much time parents and kids spend on screens, Palmer says set small, realistic goals and reduce screen time in increments. Try putting screens down for an extra 10 minutes each day and increase it after that. Replace that time with family time.
Setting those limits is not to punish our children or to have a negative consequence, but it really is to protect them.
Palmer says another way to also have screen-free zones, remove devices during meal times and from the bedroom.
It can keep a child up all night, whether they're getting alerts on their phone, and just the light alone from the devices has been proven to decrease the quality of sleep for adults and for children.
The key there, she says, is for adults to follow the same rules they're setting for children.
And I always had that rule for my stepkids, no cell phones at the dinner table, even when we go out. So that seems to work a little bit, but I can tell they're tense. If their phone goes off, they need to check it. And Palmer says to talk to your kids and explain why you're setting these screen limits and to be consistent. She says it's important for your kids to understand what to expect and that they're not being punished, that it's a good thing, really.